Hi, and welcome to History class. In our first chapter, we will talk about Western history from the very beginning. Okay? First, close your eyes or don't look at the screen. Just listen. Okay? Here we go. 45,000 years ago, the European ancestors left Africa and walked into Europe. We call these early people Cro-Magnons. They arrived during the last big glacial period of the Long Ice Age, which is still happening today. Thick ice covered most of Scandinavia, Britain, the Alps, and parts of Germany, Poland, and Russia. In summer, the ice sheets would retreat some, but the winters were terribly cold and dangerous. Cro-Magnons were excellent hunter-gatherers, meaning they hunted animals and gathered plants for food and resources. Men, women, and children all worked together to get what they needed. They followed herds of reindeer and mammoths across the frozen north with spears. As they stalked these large mammals, they would gather berries, roots, nuts, and smaller animals for food. They moved from place to place, carrying everything they needed on their backs. For shelter, they used caves when they could find them. Inside these dark caves, they made fires and told stories of hunting. They showed they had amazing imaginations. With charcoal and red paint made from the ground, they drew running horses, bulls, pigs, rhinos, and even people using their hands. When we visit Lascaux or Chauvet in France today, the paintings look almost the same after 30,000 years. New words, please write them in the notes section. Don't define them, just write it down, okay? Let's go to our vocabulary section. All right, let's go one by one. What is a person from long ago in your family? Well, this would have to be ancestor, right? So an ancestor is your great-great-great-grandparents or beyond, right? My ancestors came from Britain and from Europe. Number two, a very long cold time when Earth has an ice at the poles being the top and bottom of the Earth. Do we have ice at the poles now? Yes, so this is an ice age. Maybe it's not common knowledge, but we are still in an ice age. Number three, people who hunt animals and collect plants for food. Well, hunt and gather plants would be hunter-gatherer, right? Hunter-gatherer. Most early people were hunter-gatherers. All right. Oops. Number four, the coldest part of an ice age when ice covers huge areas. Well, it's not an ice age, so it must be something else. Glacial period. A glacier is a large sheet of ice, and period is a certain amount of time. So this should be a glacial period. Glacial period. Oops. Period. There we go. Number five, a large natural hole in the side of a mountain or under the ground. Let's take a look. Well, we have, let me circle glacial period. We have village, imagination, Neolithic revolution, and cave. Right, it must be cave. So let's go in and do cave. Good. Number 6, the ability to see pictures or ideas in your mind. So what could that be? Let's circle cave. That's right, we have imagination. Imagination is very important, even when you're an adult. All right, perfect. Number 7, the big change when people started farming. Well, we have 2 options, a village or a Neolithic revolution. This is a difficult word, but let's see. Neolithic is the word that means when people started farming. Neo being new and lithic meaning to begin something, right? So Neolithic revolution. Let's go down. Neolithic. Oops. Neolithic revolution. Good. And so the last one is a small group of houses where many families live close together. What could it be? It's right. Our last option is village. All right. Now that we know our vocabulary, all right. Next, let's answer some questions. Cro-Magnons came to Europe from South America, Australia, Asia, Africa, or Antarctica. Perfect. The answer is D, Africa. How do we know? Let's look at the text. They left Africa and walked into Europe. Perfect. If you need to think about it or check, I will leave a small pause like this. During what time period did the Cro-Magnons arrive in Europe? You can pause now and check. Okay. A, after the Ice Age ended. B, during the last major glacial period. C, during the rainy period. D, during the warm climate period. Or E, before the last major glacial period. We know the Ice Age is not ended, and we know it's not rainy or warm because it was very cold. But it could be B or D. B or E, I mean. But the answer is B. During the last major glacial period, because it was still very cold. Number 3, what does it mean that Cro-Magnons were hunter-gatherers? Check now. Okay, finish checking. They farmed crops and raised animals. Did they farm crops? No. They lived in caves. That's true. They hunted animals and gathered plants for survival. Oh, that looks correct. They traded food with other groups. No, the text does not say. They hunted animals to prevent overhunting. No, they did not do that. They did live in caves, but that doesn't mean that they are hunter-gatherers. That just means they lived in caves. But this one, hunt and gather. Okay, next, number 4. How did Cro-Magnons usually move from place to place? Check. Okay, they traveled by boats. Oh, we didn't hear about boats. They stayed in permanent towns and villages. They did eventually. They followed animal herds and carried their belongings. Ooh, this one maybe. They rode animals all over the ice. It didn't say about that. They went on foot north and south based on the season. I don't know if they said that either. They stayed in permanent towns and villages, but this says move place to place, so no. They followed animal herds. This one. They followed reindeer and what other animal? Mammoths, exactly. Let's check number 5. What is one reason Cro-Magnons are remembered today? Okay, check above. All right. A, they built large stone cities. Nope. They invented metal tools. Not yet. They left detailed cave paintings? Maybe. They wrote the earliest books? Nothing said that. And they built the first roads? Nothing said that. So the answer is detailed cave paintings. All right. Now we're going to look at our section of short answers, okay? All right, for the short answers section, we need to write a full sentence. This is good practice, okay? Number 1, where did Cro-Magnons come from? We know if we check the text that they came from Africa and walked into Europe, right? So we need to make a sentence. How do we do that? Where did the Cro-Magnons came from? The subject is Cro-Magnons, so let's start there. The Cro-Magnons came from Europe. Or I'm sorry, came from Africa. My mistake. They went to Europe. What was the weather like in Europe when Cro-Magnons arrived? I'll give you time now to write your sentence, okay? Go ahead and do number 3, number 4, 5, and then we'll fix it together. Okay, all finished? What was the weather like in Europe when Cro-Magnons arrived? It was the glacial period, right? So it was very cold. So let's start with the subject. The weather was, because we have was what? Cold. When Cro-Magnons arrived. Don't worry if your sentence is not the same as mine. The important thing is you write your idea. This is just an example, okay? Number 3, what are 2 big animals that Cro-Magnons hunted? There was 2. One was reindeer and the other one was mammoths. So let's start with the subject. 2 big animals that Cro-Magnons hunted were reindeer and mammoths. Perfect. Number 4, we have name 2 famous caves in France that still have Cro-Magnon paintings. We talked about it at the end right here, right? Lascaux and Chauvet. These spellings are a little strange, so let's see. Lascaux or Chauvet. So Lascaux and Chauvet. Make a note here. Lascaux, Chauvet. E. Okay. 2 famous caves in France that still have paintings are Lascaux and Chauvet. Remember, these are locations, so they need capitalization. France too. Good. What did Cro-Magnons usually use to make cave art? There was 2 things. One was charcoal. So make a note, charcoal. Char. And red paint. So let's write the sentence. Charcoal and red paint were used to make cave art. Good. How did you do? Do well? I think so. And if your sentences have some problem, hey, you know what? That just means you're learning, right? In order to learn, we must make mistakes. And mistakes are not negative. It just means we're learning. Okay, now let's start with chapter 2. Chapter 1, part 2. Okay? However, about 11,700 years ago, everything changed. The ice started to melt, but not come back. The cold glacial period ended, and the Cro-Magnon lifestyle changed with it. With the ice melted, the sea levels rose and new forests grew. Mammoths and many other big animals were overhunted and could not survive the warmer temperatures. This warming was the beginning of the Neolithic Revolution. Instead of always moving to find food, people learned that planting seeds from what they gathered caused plants to grow. People started growing wheat and barley. They kept goats and sheep in their homes. For the first time, families could stay in one place all year long. Soon, the first villages appeared. One famous early village is called Catalhoyuk in modern-day Turkey. 10,000 people lived in this village. They lived in brick houses made of dried mud. Instead of doors, they used ladders to enter through the roof. Life became safer, and people had more time to do other things besides hunt and travel. With this time, people invented better tools, made pottery and decorated it, and began making clothing. These small changes started everything. From humble beginnings came larger cities, village chiefs, kings, trade, writing, and legends. All right, again, write down words that you don't know here in the notes. Later, we will define them, okay? All right. Now, let's look at the multiple choice part 2. When did the big warming start? The big warming. When did the glacial period end? Let's check and see. A, 45,000 years ago. No, first go and check. Go and check the answers. All right. Now that you're back, it's not 45,000 years. What was 45,000 years? That was when the Cro-Magnons left Africa. 30,000 years? No. About 11,000 years? Yes. These last two are not relevant. They're not mentioned. Next, why did mammoths and other big animals disappear? They moved to Africa? Nope. Some maybe did, but most likely not mammoths and other big animals. They were overhunted and the weather became too warm? Definitely. They were exchanged for sheep as the main source of food? That's not false, but that's not what happened to them. They moved off onto islands. Now, here's a little side story. Some mammoths did escape to a small island east of Russia. Like here's Japan and here's Korea. There was some mammoths that lived here. This was the last place that mammoths lived. People did not hunt them to death. Instead, they ran out of food and died over time. It's very interesting. But this is not correct. They evolved into elephants over time? No. Next, what is the Neolithic Revolution? A new kind of ice? No. The time when people started farming and living in villages? Yes. The invention of cars? No. The discovery of writing? This did happen after the Neolithic Revolution, but what is the Neolithic Revolution? So no. The time when people started building roads, they did start building roads after, but it is not the reason. Number 4, in Catalhoyuk, how did people enter their houses? Through a door set in the front wall? No, they didn't build the door. They used a staircase, not a staircase. They had hidden doors in the floor, hidden meaning secret, or like a latch with something like a door in the floor, but there is some secret thing covering it, so you cannot see it. No. They climbed ladders and came in on the roof? Yep. They used their windows as doors. We don't know if they had windows or not, so no. Because of the Neolithic Revolution, what new things did people begin to make? Airplanes and computers? No, that's way too early for that. Better tools, pottery, and clothing? Yes, if we check the text, it says right there in the very bottom. Made better tools, pottery, and clothing. Yes. Writing and books? That happened after, but not yet. Nothing new was created? Of course not. The ability to domesticate mammoths. They domesticated sheep, but not mammoths. So no, the answer is B. All right, now take a look at the short answer, think about it, check the text, and write the sentence, okay? All right, are you back? Let's check some answers. How many years ago did the ice start to melt and never return? We answered this just above, here, in number 1. When did the big warming start? Same, this is the same meaning. So, the ice started, because it's past tense, started to melt. When? How many years ago? 11,700 years ago. Like that. So we need to look at the noun, the ice, started. We look at start, put it in the past, ed. To melt, started to melt. When? How many years ago is same as when? And we put the time here. Started to melt 11,700 years ago. Number 2, name 2 reasons why mammoths disappeared. First, they were overhunted. Second, whoa, why is it a diamond? How strange. Second, the temperature, or ondo, temperature was too warm. Next, how many people lived in Catalhoyuk? So what do? How many people? 10,000. 10,000 what? People. 10,000 people what? Lived. Where did they live? In Catalhoyuk. Finished. What were some plants that early farmers grew? First, early farmers is the noun. Early farmers, what did they do? Grew. Grew is the past tense of grow. What did they grow? Now we check. The answer is wheat and what other plant? And barley. Number 5, what did people do when they got more free time? Okay, first the noun, people. When people got more free time, now we need a pronoun. Pronoun for people would be they. They made better tools. Okay, let's move down the camera. Better tools and pottery and clothing. Good. If you run out of space like me, just write underneath. All right, now, this part I cannot help you with directly, okay? We need to write a summary of the passage. Write it in your own words. Use maybe 5 sentences. You can maybe do 10, but this space is very short. The idea is think about the text and write down what you remember. Cro-Magnons came from Africa to Europe. It was very cold because it was the glacial period of the Ice Age. They hunted mammoths and other big animals like reindeer. They were hunter-gatherers. 11,700 years ago, the temperature started to increase. So the animals started to die and they built the first villages like this, okay? Don't copy the paragraph, just think about your own words, okay? Then go down below and check this out. Write down your personal ideas about the following topics. If you don't know a word, write it in Korean. When you are finished writing, look up the word, define the word, like Google the word, and include it in the notes on page 10. Page 10 is down here. This is your final notes section, okay? So I'll read the question with you and explain. Okay, here we go. What surprises you most about the life of Cro-Magnons? Was there something interesting or surprising about the life of Cro-Magnons? For example, they moved place to place. They didn't have homes. They didn't have farms, something like that. Even if you know everything, practice making a sentence, okay? Number 2, would you rather live in the Ice Age or in an early farming village? Why? Maybe you like traveling or living in caves, or maybe you want to farm and make textiles. Tell me why. Even if the question is strange, think about it. Use English. This is an opportunity to practice, okay? Number 3, why do you think people painted animals inside dark caves? Why did they paint animals? Why do you think? What was the reason? Number 4, how is your life different because of the Neolithic Revolution? The Neolithic Revolution is when they started farming. How is your life different? Many things are different, right? And number 5, what do you want to learn next about early humans? Is there something curious? Like, oh, I really want to know about the cave paintings. Or, oh, how did the mammoths all die? Why didn't the reindeer die? Something like that. Think about it and write down, okay? Finally, we have the Korean section here. Please read through this and check if there was some misunderstanding, okay? After you do that, you can write down notes here on the side of some mistake or misunderstanding or new word. Misunderstanding or new words. Okay? And then finally, we have our index. Ancestors is 초상, a person from long ago. Ice Age is 핑하기, It's a very long, cold time when Earth has ice at the poles. Remember, poles is at the top and bottom. Ice, ice. Pingi is glacial period, the coldest part of an ice age when ice covers huge areas. So this is the poles, but during a glacial period, it maybe covers like this. 소리업 채집인 is people who hunt animals and collect plants for food. This is hunter-gatherer. 동굴 is a cave, a large natural hole in the side of a mountain. 상상력 is imagination, the ability to see pictures or ideas in your mind. 신석기 혁명 is Neolithic revolution, the big change when people started farming. 마을, as you know, is village. 도자기 is pottery, the objects made from clay. 추적하다 is to stalk. This is kind of negative word. It means to hunt animals, but it can also mean following people. It's a very bad word. 과사냥하다 is to overhunt, to hunt so much that the animal number goes down. 피난처 is shelter, a place that gives protection from danger and weather. And finally, your new words and phrases. Take the words from your notes section here and from the story notes here and write them down in this part. For example, charcoal, stock, etc. Then write the Korean right here. Korean. And I highly suggest write down definition in English. If you write it in English, you will learn more quickly. Definition means this. Like this. Okay? All right. How was it? This is our first chapter in the new series. This is our beginning of Western history. If you like this kind of video or this kind of material, please let me know. You can comment or send me a message or like and subscribe. Any way you can show me what you like, please do so. If you want something to change or you want something, have some suggestion, please let me know as well. I'm very open to it. I hope to continue this series for a while, and I really, really value your opinion. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next chapter. I wonder what it could be about. Have a great day. Bye.